Namaskar and welcome to My Startup TV. I'm your host, Major Sunil Shetty. Joining me on the Thought Leader Show is SAYANEE Bhowmik, an ex-VC who understands the investor's mind and has her finger on the pulse of startup ecosystem. Today we explore India Middle East capital flows, innovation and global expansion. Welcome to the show, SAYANEE. I must say, firstly, let's start by congratulating you on your, the new stop trend, the shots that you did on LinkedIn. That's quite, quite impressive. I think that was your first or second one, right?
Because I am very camera shy, like without meetings and everything, but I cannot function if I see my own face on the camera. So I just took it as a challenge because video content is doing well on LinkedIn. So I just thought that I'll just give it a try, and yeah. So I'm glad that you like. Yeah.
It came out well. It came out well, I must say. And I think one of the reasons for that, and that somehow connects to what we are going to talk today, is about what you do with all these 12,000 or be it 30,000 people who are in the mid level. What do you do with them? They've spent, as you said, they've spent 15 plus years in organization. And then how do you, I come from armed forces. We don't leave our people. We carry them, we carry them. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Where it is. So I think as you rightly summed it up at the end, they should do something about them, right? They should find ways to settle them. And I was a bit disappointed from the fact that it was TCS doing it. Because Tatas are known to hold their people together. So yeah, I think that was you brought out some valid points, and that connects to what we are going to talk today about. So we heard about capital flow. There was a news article recently, I think about a week or so, when I reached out to you, and then it talked about how capital flows are happening from India to the Middle East startup ecosystem. So what are the biggest pull factors attracting Indian VCs and startups to UAE or the wider Middle East right now?
I think this was supposed, I think everybody in the industry expected it, sometime early or later in the startup ecosystem time frame, because at the pace that UAE was growing since last, say, 10-15 years, I think it was quite expected. And not just right now, there has been right now it's a news for various reasons, but I'm sure that you must have come across in your career also that so many startups, especially fintech startups, are operating out of Dubai. And there are various reasons for that, I think, but I like to sum it up in three basic points. First, I think the policy is one of the biggest factors. After CEP or CEPA slashed, friction of goods and services, and they fast tracked visas, and uh, founder friendly free zones are also there, like DIFC, ADGM, all these special zones for founders, and also lower red tape, because this is one of the very the benefits of monarchy. Having not having a democracy is the lower rate of red tape. So faster iteration cycles and everything is done faster. There is one rule for everything. So that's one thing. Second, I think proximity to capital in general, because there is no tax, there is definitely higher disposable income, and and Dubai being a global economy, I think it also attracts a lot of foreign capital. So, sovereigns and family offices in Gulf are writing decisive checks, which is very unheard of in India. Even right now, family offices in India are not as developed as it is supposed to. So I think speed and proximity to capital is second thing. And third, definitely, this initiatives like Hub 71, and these, I think, definitely helps with this non-dilutive incentives and market access, etc., for the founders. So yeah, if I have to sum it up, maybe policy, proximity, and pipelines are three things which are attracting a lot of founders from India to Dubai. And also, sorry, and just also want to add the strategic geographical location of Dubai in general also, right? It has access to so much of the world. So like you can sell on MENA on one day and hop on to Europe and Africa on the other. So that's also one good thing. Yeah.
No, very true. I agree with you on those points. And also the fact is, you know, in current time, there is nothing one way, right? When capital is flowing to Dubai, or entrepreneurs are moving, or startups are moving there, it will eventually it will also start. You know, they will also start flowing back in some way or other, right? Whether it is through business, whether it is through tie-ups, whether it is through talent, learning in the international market or in an international setting, as to what they would otherwise not learn in India while they are in India. So, do you think this capital outflow or talent outflow in some ways signals weakness of Indian startup ecosystem?
Answer to it is, I think, yes and no. Yes, because like you mentioned that definitely there's a brain drain happening. There's a lot of good IPs and R&Ds going out of India, and a lot of good companies which were supposed to come from India are going to come up in the US, in the UAE. But I think it is also important to understand that India is a very big economy and also a democracy. And India is also a very young country, even though UAE is definitely almost equal of our age, but it's a small space. They do not have democracy, and they do not have a lot of minorities, and everybody just follows one rule. So it is easy to regulate that country the way they have done it. Of course, there has been a lot of thought by the sheikh that has come into this, but at the same time, it is important to understand that in India, it's just a 5-year rule of a government, and they have so many issues to solve. There's poverty that needs to solve. So right now, I think India's proper focus is not on startups right now. I mean, it's not one of the major focuses. There are other focuses as well. So that's why it is understandable why some people just wants to move out. But however, till the time the labor is cheap in India, till the time R&D is cheap in India, till the time having your IP in India is cheaper, I think people are going to stick to India. So it's okay if they move some part of their company to states, to places like UAE, Dubai, and all these places. But until and unless the R&D, IP, and say up to some extent the customer support is in India, then it's not a loss for us entirely.
Not to forget, when these startups move and people move along with them, or the talent, I'm so sorry, talent and workforce, they also in some way start feeding back India's, the foreign remittance and start kicking in. So if there is some loss, this is what we saw during the brain drain with Europe and America, isn't it? People who went in the 70s, 80s, they started sending money back. So yes, there's going to be both two sides to it. But then I think given current scenario where government of India is definitely pushing for startups to start taking up a major role, in the economy, having this talent, in India probably works better. But then, what do you do when you have 12,000 people being removed? Some of them would go, right? You can't stop them. So, I'm so sorry. So, do you think UAE can be seen as a springboard for Indian startups to scale, explore international market?
Use UAE for enterprise sales. Yeah. If you, I hope you're okay. So if you use UAE for enterprise sales, pricing power, and say regulatory clarity in fintech, health, or infra tech, or something like that, or let's say if you keep engineering density in India for talent, cost curve, and velocity, and if brain drain risk only shows if the founders migrate, but if say like a part of their team migrates, then I think that's okay. So I think that's how if we structure it, then it's a springboard of India.
So now, given that there is going to be more we also seen this, that through government initiative, a lot of startup ecosystem from across the world are collaborating with Indian startup ecosystem, right? Be the incubators, institutions, and then what is this doing is even corporates. In the last 3 years, we've seen even corporates coming up and doing the hackathons of the world, right? I mean, trying to find where the talent is, or what ideas they have. So if this kind of a cross pollination happens between Indian startup ecosystem and likes of Dubai or Middle East, Australia, Europe, this will actually help Indian startup ecosystem evolve, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Are you saying that how geopolitics is shaping deal flows?
No. What I'm saying is, today, with all this cross pollination happening between Indian startup ecosystem and the and other parts of the world, right? So this should help Indian startup ecosystem, whether they go from here to India, from the India to Middle East, or they are the people coming from Europe or America and setting up in India. It in some way it'll have a positive impact on the startup ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. I think yeah.
So what lessons can India take from innovation hubs like Abu Dhabi's Hub 71 or Dubai Internet City in terms of policy support?
Yeah, so I think all these initiatives that has been taken by the UAE government actually is a benchmark in a lot of ways. So I think standardization of term sheet, let's say for grants by government, I think that's a very tedious process right now, and that needs to be streamlined. Or let's say a single window for compliance. In India, compliance is a huge factor for like to get anything done, and funding and startups and regulation and licenses are like a headache. So I think like if a single window compliance is there, then definitely a lot of things will be streamlined. And that day I read somewhere that in Singapore they have a bonus system in their country for government employees, that if say something is done, let's say there is a project that has been given and something is and if the like criteria of that project, like at what time, what is the quality and how much you're using, basically if it has been successfully executed, then they get a very very heavy bonus. And government employees by on paper are one of the like some of the richest people in that country. So I think that's a very good thing that we can also take from Singapore, not just UAE, but Singapore also. That in order to reduce the red tape that we have, the amount of corruption, the amount of bureaucracy we have, I think incentivizing government employees and incentivizing people who are giving a good amount of their time to the government is important. So that's how maybe we like these are the probably some lessons which I think India should take. Correct. So
India has attracted over half of all Asia's Middle East's private capital since 2020. What makes India such a strong magnet for Gulf investors?
As I like to put it, that finally growth and governance, up to some extent, I wouldn't say we have reached there entirely, but finally are in the same domain. Like they're rhyming together for the first time. So, India has delivered scale. They have digitalized railways. They have improved exits for a lot of companies. There has been technological invention like UPI, GST, which is like huge for the entire world. And there's one data I think I was reading that day that since 2020, India has accounted for 58% of Asia deals value featuring Middle East investors. And I think that's not hype, that's proper data. So, I think governance and growth and digitization in India and Make in India initiatives, all these are actually coming together to create something beautiful. And I think investors in the UAE and all these other regions, Korean investors, Japanese investors are actually like, acknowledging that for the first time.
So do you see
Indian VCs setting up dual bases, say in Gujarat, Gift City, and also in UAE as a new model for cross-border investment?
Countries this exists, a cross-border investment situation, which is we call it as barbell structure, where some basically both of the shores, like the gift city or the UAE situation, they basically cross trade for certain things. Let's say for gift city can be improvised for uh, they can be improvised for fund setup in India, or INR IFSC advantages, and Indian deal flows can be concentrated in this gift city area, so that the investors from the outside have like a proper point to get access to them. And second, UAE can be leveraged for, say, LP access, like limited partner access. I think there are not many limited partners or matured limited partners in India to run VCs. Then there is a dollar pool there, which we don't have. There is, and all the MENA related scale ups are happening in the UAE. So I think that is something that can be done. So yeah, I think absolutely. I can like sum it up in this way that um, the back office of this entire structure can be India, and the compliance and the forefront, or the entryway to Asia can be Dubai. Let's say, for example, for the entire MENA region. So that's great. I think that's how we can.
that's very nicely put.
So looking forward, 5-10 years ahead, do you see this trend making Indian startups more global, or diluting India's position as a primary hub for innovation in the world?
No, I think Indian startup ecosystem. See, not every founder can afford to go and set up their company in Dubai. So that's the reality. And I think in Bangalore, if you see the ecosystem, let's say that if you throw a stone, it will land on a founder or a startup. So not every startup is funded. Not every startup is. I mean, the advantages that you get from your own country, by even for founders and employees, living in India and running your own company has its own privileges as well. And not every founder can afford to go to UAE or US, let's say for that example, because I think people will prefer US first. The average ticket size is better. The startup ecosystem is better. The in general, the whole funding ecosystem is much better. You go global from there. So not everybody can. And also I strongly believe, I have been to Dubai, I've worked in Dubai. I can say, like, I can vouch for this, that the talent in India is far better than the talent in UAE that you find. Much better, especially in tech. I think that can be a very big differentiator why people wouldn't like to move out of India.
Well, again,
coming to the point of talent, you are referring to the local talent, isn't it? The local talent which is there. Now, having lived in Dubai myself, what I remember is from 2004 to 2016 was, people from India were primarily in the blue collar job segment. You think in coming time, because of this flow from India, the investment and startups, technology, in coming time that demography will change, where there'll be more Indians, probably doing their, holding important positions like what we see today in US and Europe?
It's tough to answer because I think blue collar employees, we have to see that what is happening to the next generation of the blue collar employees that we have in the country, right? So if they also stay consistent in that path, then definitely the change is not going to come. But if we take an initiative, or the government takes an initiative to change that, then yeah, we can move forward to that. But I would say there is a long time for that. India is the most populated country in the entire world, with a average per capita income is around $2,500, as opposed to Singapore, which is approximately 90,000. So I think there's a huge gap. And I'm not sure that until and unless the per capita income increases in a country like India, I'm not sure that this is going to, we are going to be compared with US and Europe. But yes, we are going to be one of the biggest economies, and we will have our faults, we will have our advantages. Population is our advantage, is our power and our weakness. So we just need to understand that, what kind of leadership will come in the future, and how that leadership translates into development going forward. Yeah.
It's always a pleasure having you on our show, and we look forward to having you on other shows. And I'm going to continue watching your reels and posts, because they are quite insightful and thought provoking, and that also that this whole idea of this program came about from there. So hope to see you again on our show. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. Viewers,
if you want to be part of such interesting conversation around startup ecosystem, get an insight into what an ex-VC thinks, or has ideas on, what are her ideas about the trends that are happening in the startup ecosystem, join us 5 to 6 p.m. on our Thought Leader Show. Thank you.